Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. Now, just recently, Amber Rose went viral because of some things that she said on Club Shay Shay. Yes, you heard me correctly. Amber Rose was on Club Shay Shay not too long ago. They talked about a lot of things, but what stood out to most people the most was her comments concerning P. Devil Combs. That's P. Diddy for anybody who's new to my term. P. Devil Combs, and y'all know I have to say the alleged freak offs. Now, remember a long time ago when we started making these videos here on YouTube, all the different YouTube content creators, and we were saying anybody that comes out of the woodwork and just throws out there that they were either at a Diddy party or that they knew something but didn't say anything, understand why they're doing what they're doing. Some of them are exposing themselves on purpose so that somebody else won't. It takes the fire out of an expose, if you will, whenever these celebrities get ahead of that and, like I said, expose themselves or talk about certain things, but try to minimize their involvement. Remember all the people who were saying all of a sudden, oh, I don't remember seeing anything that happened, or I didn't go to that house. Will Smith said, oh, I didn't go to no Diddy parties. All these people, all of a sudden, they don't know what was going on. They didn't know that these things were happening. Remember Lecrae? Oh, I went to the Diddy parties, but I didn't do, what y'all thought I did. Okay, sure. Now, Amber Rose really took the time out of her day to go down there to Club Shay Shay and say she done went to every freak off, every white party. She didn't went to them all, according to her. That's what she said, allegedly. And she said, I've never seen any of these things happen. If the freak off's happening, it had to be at a separate house or at a separate event or after the cameras were turned off. But it's funny that she would say that because allegedly there were cameras hidden throughout his home. Allegedly, remember? That was the main reason why him going to prison was dangerous for all the other celebrities who were allegedly involved. Because he allegedly had cameras hidden recording people who were doing heinous things to people under his roof and with him, allegedly. Also, he had recorded people who were drugged up, allegedly, who were not giving their consent. He had a lot of these instances, so to speak, allegedly on camera. Her bragging about having gone to all these white parties, all these Diddy parties, as she calls them, the non-freak off ones, I guess is what she's trying to label it as, is not something to brag about. The fact that she was there to begin with is not something to brag about. And also the fact that she didn't see any of this means that she wasn't a big enough celebrity for her to be let through the door by these people. Now notice, again, the white parties. Allegedly, Michael Rubin is one of the people who throws these white parties. He's very connected in the industry. Those white parties, little do most people know, apparently, allegedly, hosted by people like Michael Rubin, P. Diddy, P. Devil Combs, the gatekeepers, if you will. These parties are basically gatherings for the up-and-coming rising stars, dancers, models, actresses, singers, songwriters, whoever is coming up in the industry who wants to be mainstream, to see if they're really ready to go to the next step of being in the industry. The next step of indoctrination, initiation, if you will. So when you see your favorite celebrities at these parties, just know they're about to be the new sellouts. Allegedly. Because y'all know I have to say allegedly. Like I said before, her getting up there on Shay Shay and claiming that she didn't see any of that means one of two things. Either they didn't think that she was going anywhere in the industry, that they wanted to take her anywhere in the industry, so they didn't involve her or open the door to her for those rooms, or she's trying to hurry up and get ahead of anything negative that could come out about her connected to that stuff, so that she can minimize or draw attention away from what she did or come up with an explanation to make it seem like she wasn't as involved, that she didn't do certain things, that she had no recollection of these events. And it's just annoying. We've seen celebrities do this before, like I mentioned earlier, and it's annoying. We don't want to hear you coming out now saying you had nothing to do with it. You could have came out before because, believe it or not, these celebrities know a whole lot more than what they ever will let on to the general public. This is all also giving minimalization, downplaying gaslighting. Imagine being one of the victims of the alleged freak-offs, and then you turn on YouTube to see Amber Rose with her big forehead tattoo and those big bulky shades talking about she didn't been to every party that there was to go that was an industry party and didn't see a single hint of what was going on or what could have been going on behind closed doors. And her over there talking about a bunch of if this happens, or if it was that, then this, or maybe it was that, and if this, and if that. Imagine the actual victims, the alleged victims of the alleged freak-off parties, because remember, they were trying to use Diddy parties and freak-offs interchangeably. So again, it's bringing into question what she said. When you said Diddy parties, or are you talking about gatherings he had at his house with a bunch of celebrities? Y'all are just drinking and eating hors d'oeuvres, having a good old time? Well, an ungodly old time, let's be honest. Or the actual alleged freak-off parties. It's the confusion for me, again, it's the slight gaslighting that I feel like she was low-key trying to do. Again, that's a slap in the face to the actual alleged victims. Although, what else is to be expected of these celebrities? They're going to always have each other's backs. They're going to always cover each other's behinds along with their own. Whether it's due to their allegiance to each other, the industry, or their fear of each other and the industry, what could happen if they don't cover each other's behinds and their own. Like I said, it's giving shady, it's giving gaslight, it's giving, are you sure you weren't there? Otherwise, you should probably stop talking about it, because people are going to start to question you too otherwise. And also, I don't like it when people speak very lightly about other people's pain and trauma, especially extreme trauma. What do I mean by that? I don't like how lightly some of these people are talking about these freak-offs, the potential victims, the possible alleged victims of these freak-offs, and that's even if the people are still here with us, so to speak. People should not speak so lightly and nonchalantly about trauma, once again, that they didn't experience. Now, some people had some things to say on YouTube. This one particular person said, and I quote, "When people sit around and wear glasses on an interview, that's a red flag," end quote. That was another reason why a lot of people were questioning her. Why do you have, once again, these big bulky shades on in the inside? That's old school. We learned from the old school individuals, our parents and grandparents. Why do you have shades on inside talking to people? Where are your manners? That was just ridiculous. That was just lacking in manners, first of all. And second of all, that is very shady. Because them shades covering your eyes, which somebody else said, I think later on in these posts, your eyes are the windows to your soul. I'm going to need you to take them shades off so I can see what's going on. The person underneath them replied by saying, and I quote, "I was about to say that. What's the outfit she's wearing? Looks like Summit from Star Trek. LOLs," end quote. I didn't really watch Star Trek growing up. That was a little bit before my time, actually. Although I have seen some things pertaining to Star Trek, and I'm not going to lie, she does look like something straight out of Star Trek. And at the same time, didn't she decide to go on the whole conservative journey? Like, I don't want to hear anybody talking about, oh, don't judge what she's wearing. This was the same Amber Rose who said that the conservatives were her people. We all know what she really meant by that. But that the conservatives were really her people. But this outfit don't exactly look conservative. Now, that forehead tattoo was crazy, whether she was conservative or not. I don't know why. What would possess anybody to do that? But despite all of that, what's wrong with carrying ourselves with class? There ought to be some outfits you look at and you be like, never in a million years. That's part of the reason why, another reason on top of the other ones that we talked about earlier, a lot of people don't take her seriously and they don't believe her. Her credibility is shot. Carry yourself with class first. That initial impression impacts everything afterwards, especially after you open your mouth. Another person replied by saying, "When you say you've been at every party and never seen anything, if you believe that, you would believe anything," end quote. Another person replied by saying, "Yes, this," with a bullseye emoji. Also, she's best friends with Ray J. "He's so sketchy, I don't believe anything that man says either," end quote. Also, the company that you keep will also have an impact on your credibility. Credibility shot because who she likes to hang around with. Now, her being best friends with Ray J, not only is that goofy, but it's also very sketchy, like they said before, and kind of hard to believe because isn't Ray J also best friends with Whack 100? And apparently, allegedly, Whack 100 can't stand Amber Rose. I remember some time ago, it went a little bit viral, him basically going off on her. I mean, cussing her out like she was a man, very disrespectfully, on Clubhouse over something. I still don't remember what it was over, but he just went off. Like it was so bad that I was kind of concerned, to be honest. I felt like if he sees her in public, he gonna do something. That's how aggressively he went after her, or at her rather, in that audio that I heard, like I said, from Clubhouse all this time ago. So I'm a little confused here. Somebody else doubled down on that sunglasses issue by saying, and I quote, "It's extremely disrespectful to sit in an interview with big sunglasses on that cover your eyes. You should at least be looking at the man in the eye while you lie to him, at least," end quote. Another person expounded upon what I said earlier, and I quote, "Your eyes are the windows to your soul. She is hiding hers because she's sitting there spitting lies while she knows the truth," end quote. Someone else said on YouTube, and I quote, "She's been paid," end quote. And that is what people are going to continue to think as long as these celebrities keep bringing these subjects up, keep making those kinds of comments. There are pictures on the internet that's accessible to the public, to the general public, of Michael Rubin with celebrities dressed in all white at some of these supposed, y'all know I have to say that, alleged all white parties. I have yet to see her in one of them. I'm gonna just be real honest. Now, there might be one with her in it somewhere, but I haven't personally come across it yet. Nobody was even thinking about her, let alone concerning or her relation to these Diddy parties or the alleged freak-offs. She was the one who put her own name in the same sentence as all of that. Another person said, and I quote, "Yeah, sure. Everyone that has been at the parties all of a sudden have amnesia and ain't nobody knows anything. What kind of outfit is that? And Ray J is your best friend with facepalm emojis," end quote. Once again, just by saying those few things, she's already told us everything that we need to know. Another person posted, and I quote, "I wonder how much she got paid for this testimony," end quote. Once again, people are not saying these things because they're haters trying to throw shade. They're saying these things because they see what's going on in their very faces and they're calling it out. These celebrities keep doing things that's very shady, saying things that's shady. That's why they're coming to these conclusions. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. That's why they're putting out what they're putting out. Their opinions, them wondering what they're wondering. One person said, and I quote, "She must think we were born yesterday. She knows," end quote. And another person said, "She knows they all stick together," end quote. Somebody also brought attention to a very interesting point. They commented, and I quote, "She told you how they find out if you're down with it, the assistant," end quote. Because there is a part in the interview where she said, "Oh, while I was at the parties, there would be somebody like an assistant who would go around to certain celebrities to see if they were really ready to move to the next level, so to speak." Y'all know I have to say allegedly. Someone else said, and I quote, "Amber Rose was with Kanye for a long time. She knows way more than she is saying, but God knows the truth," end quote. That's very true. God knows all of the truth, the whole truth, everything. These celebrities are not hiding anything from him. They will get their consequences in due time. Somebody doubled down on that right beneath them by saying, and I quote, "What's done in the dark will soon come to light. And there's a lot of darkness. Grace and peace," end quote. Another person said, and I quote, "I don't believe anything that comes out of Amber's mouth. She's a liar," end quote. Someone else posted, and I quote, "I don't think the freak-offs happened at his regular industry parties that had cameras and press, etc. Doesn't mean they didn't happen," end quote. And what she's meaning by that is the parties where, like the Rock Nation brunch, I guess would be an example, probably. Or if he had like some kind of gathering where he was with other people, there was actual public cameras that he was not in control of. There were multiple videos that surfaced when all this really hit the media some time ago of P. Devil Combs saying, "Okay, this is the hour where you need to take your children home." I don't want to be responsible, and I'm not responsible for your kids. My kids are in bed, so you better make sure your kids are in bed, because whatever's about to happen is not child friendly, basically. Remember that one white guy? He came out and he was talking about how he was like 8 at the time. His parents were industry photographers, if I'm not mistaken. They were taking pictures at this party. I think they were either hired by P. Devil Combs or somebody associated with him. And then after a certain time, all kinds of debauchery was going on. He was alleging that people were walking around naked, women were topless, jumping in the pool allegedly. Allegedly, like I said before, the guy was like 8 at the time, or maybe like 10 or something like that. And then when he was telling us this recently, he was like almost in his 40s. So decades ago. He didn't talk about this decades ago, probably because his family was afraid of what was going to happen to him if they did. So decades ago, this was going on. Stuff like this was going on. We know something was going on. And whatever was going on didn't stop out of the blue whenever Amber Rose started attending the Diddy parties. Like I said before, I could be wrong, but I feel like she's trying to cast doubt or gaslight in a very subtle way, and it could be unintentional. Like I said, I could be completely wrong. Maybe she did go to every white party and Diddy party and didn't see anything, but I find that very hard to believe. Like this person mentioned, it's the transparency of it all. There's a difference between, oh, I'm gonna be upfront and honest, and then you going a little too far to make yourself seem like you had nothing to do with something. Like you're going a little too far to make it seem like, oh, I'm just being transparent, truthful, you know. Anyways, I put my very humble and honest, although somewhat also bold opinions out there, my truthful and honest take on the situation. Y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel about this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.